Hey everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. How are you today? It is Tuesday, August 15th, 2017. As you can tell, I'm really not in the greatest of moods right now. The reason for that will become very clear to you as you listen to this. Well, we just found out that American citizens are now in more debt than ever before, eclipsing the last time they were so indebted just prior to the last credit bubble bursting in 2008, which led to the meltdown on a global scale. And the mainstream media, the mainstream financial channels, our own president, who, look, everyone has their view on what's going on here, but we heard the same thing from Obama. America is in recovery. America is in decline. It is in a perpetual decline, and it will not stop. We are in the midst of another credit bubble again, on the back of the debt bubble itself. There's no recovery whatsoever. American citizens, all of you out here, I don't know how many of you are debt-free. I'm debt-free. I don't owe a dime to anyone. And let me tell you something. It is the best feeling on earth to be debt-free, and that's what you should strive for. It should be your goal, to get yourself debt-free. America is now the largest debtor nation in the history of the world by exponents, and its citizens are the most indebted in history. Okay, so where is the recovery that we've been hearing about for the better part of a decade? It does not exist. The stock market has recovered on the back of this debt bubble. Housing has recovered on the back of the debt bubble. And American citizens are, again, more indebted than they have ever been in history. This is going to end very badly. The credit card is getting maxed out. And again, this goes back to the premise that I've been talking about for the longest time, that we are going to face a moment here where all of this will correct to fair value. What people forget, in fact, I think most people have no idea about what I'm going to say here. Maybe you do if you follow this blog. I'd like to believe that all of you are smarter than I am. Now, the last bubble was about credit. The credit markets froze up and cash just stopped moving. And again, just to put a perspective on that, credit now, the bubble, is worse than before. So we are going to face another moment like that. Credit markets are going to freeze up. Businesses are going to close. You're going to lose your job. This is a fact. And no one seems to be talking about it. All they want to do, the mainstream media is flooding the airwaves with racial discontent and every other nonsensical thing that has been going on since forever here. But they will not talk about the main issues facing us all. It's a distraction. You want to talk about a distraction? I'm going to tell you about a distraction here. The mainstream financial channels today, they're reporting that retail sales just hit another high for July, and this is really good news. Well, if you look underneath it, look at ticker XRT, which is the retail sector ETF. I told all of you, it was posted on my website, traderschoice.net, that I was buying puts against the retail sector. Well, guess what? It's down more than 2% right now. So the mainstream financial channels want you to think that retail is, despite the fact that malls are closing, stores are closing, and it's not just retail stores, it's restaurants too. They're all closing because our economy is dead in the water, and our citizens here in the United States are more indebted than they have ever been in history. Okay, so the distraction from the mainstream, you can see it. Oh, look here. Don't look over here. It's the same story, people. And I'm gonna really ask you as a personal favor to share this video. Get it out there. Look, most people don't care. They're gonna exist in their debtor state until the day they die. Being a debtor is exactly the same as being a slave. You understand? So get yourself out of debt. It's not that hard. Businesses, countries renegotiate their debt every day. Okay, why can't you do it? They don't want you to know that you can negotiate your unsecured debt. I've written books about this. I've talked about this 1,000 times. You can renegotiate the debt that you owe. Will it hurt your credit? Yeah, but your credit's probably getting hurt anyway, and you're going to get melted down when this whole thing just corrects to fair value. It could be tomorrow. We don't know. So get yourself out of debt. I don't want you to be stuck in this slave mentality, because that's what this is. And Americans, citizens, are burying themselves worse and worse under the crushing weight of debt. And it just makes sense. Think about it. On a macro scale, our country is the biggest debtor nation in the history of the world. On a micro scale, individual citizens as well are debtors. You're born a debtor. If you have had a baby recently, your baby is a born debtor. How do you feel about that? Owing tens of thousands to the government. I don't even know what the number is. 60,000, 70,000. Right out of the womb, you're a debtor. Okay? Whether or not you want to believe you own part of that debt, well, guess what? I don't care what you say. If you're an American citizen, get with the program. You owe it. And your children owe it too. I know you don't want to hear it, but it's a fact. Break out of that mentality and start understanding you got to take care of yourself. You got to get yourself out of debt here, people. I can't stress this enough. It's unbelievable what is going on here. And the narrative from the mainstream, how we're in recovery. How could we possibly be in recovery when our populace is more indebted than they have ever been in history? Does that make sense to you? If there was a recovery, would you imagine everyone would be so buried under the crushing weight of debt? Of course not. But it's the nature of the beast. It's the system that demands that debt be borrowed into existence in greater and greater amounts. And there's going to be a terrible price to pay for this. I can't stress this enough. If you believe, if you're one of those out there, and there are many, that believe that this debt bubble can go on infinitely and we're not going to face another moment like the last time the credit markets froze up in 2008. You remember what that was like? And this inflated market is all part of it. It's all part of it. They want you to believe that retail stores, they're closing and everything, but retail's doing pretty well. They want you to believe that, the restaurants are closing and everything, but restaurants are doing pretty well too. It's unbelievable how they are trying to brainwash you. The mainstream financial channels are a brainwash mechanism unlike anything else. And the masses sit there dumbfounded. Having their brainwaves reprogrammed, because that's what it is. There's no doubt about it. They're programming you. You want to sit there and watch the mainstream media, the mainstream anything. They are trying to brainwash you, and they're succeeding. It appears the general population here in the United States, they are so dumb. Okay, this is the fact that they can barely walk and chew gum at the same time. And look, these are the facts. If you don't like it, you're in the wrong spot here. If you get it, I would imagine that 99% of you that follow this blog understand this. But it's really a very, very, very sad state of affairs that we're in right now. Anyway, the premise of this video is pretty straightforward. There is big trouble coming down the pike here. America, the biggest debtor nation in the history of the world, with a population that is now in more debt than they have ever been in history. If all of you think this is great and we're in recovery, well, I guess you should be watching the mainstream financial channels, the mainstream media, because they've got you right where they want you. If you believe the opposite is true, well, then you're in the right spot. I don't know another way to put this. We are going to experience another moment here where the credit markets freeze up like last time. And how will they unfreeze the credit markets the next time? Well, the Fed is out of ammunition. They can't buy anything else. Again, the problem is the debt. So what are they going to do? The Fed's going to buy more debt? How can they do it? It can't happen. There has to be a complete redo of the system at that particular point. And it's coming. Don't know when, don't care when. I just want you to understand what you need to do to get yourself in the right spots and capitalize on this. You don't need to be laid down and be fleeced here. It's unbelievable. But again, if you are one of those that are in debt, if you have unsecured debt, like a credit card or an unsecured loan not linked to something, you can renegotiate that debt. And I would suggest doing that. Businesses do it, countries do it. That's the way it is. Why can't you? They don't want you to realize that you can do it. It's unbelievable what they are doing to people and how people have become so dumb and so indoctrinated into their agenda. They don't even realize that they can renegotiate their debt. It's very sad. Very sad day for America. Anyway, with that said, I'm going to let you all go, and I'll see you tomorrow.